So, welcome everybody to another podcast, Beyond the Table. And this week, our special guest is Luke Pulscher, EVW Sports head ref, and he is a master of all rules in EVW. Right? He's also the guy who helps vet through all our rules page that was posted about a month and a half ago. He's the guy who gets to go through them and tell me, Dexter, you're an idiot because that's not supposed to be in there. Take that out, or what, vice versa. So, everybody, welcome, Luke.
Thanks for having me, Dexter. And I think I used nicer words than "Hey, you're an idiot. Take that out of there."
Yeah, you did. I was just messing around. You were pretty
I
nice.
was I was I was
You're a
more
very nice.
politically correct than that.
You are a very nice guy, right? Uh, I mean, just the fact that you could even stand up to Levon, people would have believed my story a little bit more. So, very quickly, I see you're in a very nice cabin-ish. Is that your main home or is just your
Yep.
vacation
This
home?
this is our main home. Yep. This
Okay.
is this is this is home. This is the fireplace behind us, and
Okay.
the loft is up there. The kitchen's over there, and yeah, we built it about 3 years ago. We've been in it about 3 years.
Because it looks real good with that. Is that like a 5, 6 point deer there up there?
That's a nice six
Elk.
point elk.
Elk. Ah, okay. Well,
Yep.
I
I
wasn't
got
sure.
him with my bow a couple of years ago.
A bow. Whoa. Okay, well, I guess we can lean into that real quick. So, bow. So, are you like a big time big game hunter?
I don't know about big time. I love hunting. I grew up hunting. I grew up in a hunting family. I hunt every fall, every chance I get. Um,
Okay.
Arm wrestling has actually slowed my hunting down over the years
Okay.
because Worlds is in the fall. There's other events in the fall, and it eats into my hunting time a little bit. But yeah, I get out as much as I can. I'll start bow hunting deer here in the next week. In November, I'll rifle hunt deer. Those are the tags I've got this year. And for anybody out there that thinks I'm a big meanie for hunting animals, we also eat them and everything else. So if we shoot it, we eat it.
That's how it. I think nobody can really comment otherwise. And if you really utilize everything, I think that's
Yep.
fair game. I would say. Uh, I worked in the construction industry for many years, and there is this hunting season where all construction job kind of like slows down dramatically because everybody's out hunting. And
Yep.
yeah, they'll come back and they'll toss me some portions because they probably can't finish them. And I've always kind of it's a unique taste. It's a pretty good taste too sometimes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would eat it all the time because then it would be too gamey for me. But the jerkies, especially, oh, those would hit the spot. But
And
now,
I mean, elk, deer, all of it is a phenomenal protein source. It's very lean. It's an incredible healthy meat.
yeah, I've heard that. Now, very quickly, where are you at? Like, which part of the
So
United
I live
States?
in South Dakota. Yep, I live in South Dakota, so right in the middle of the country. I'm on the far western side of South Dakota in an area called the Black Hills. So it's like little mountains. I mean, we're not mountains, but we're hills. But I think our top elevation is about 7,500 feet is our highest peak.
Mm,
So if
okay.
anybody has heard of Mount Rushmore, which most people
Yes.
should have heard of at least Mount Rushmore, the president's on the mountain. I live about 45 minutes away from them.
Okay. 45. Oh,
Yes, we live in a
I've never been
beautiful
there.
area.
I heard that our sitting president would be the fifth phase. I don't know.
I you know, I've been there many times. I don't think there's room. I think we're better off to leave it how it is.
Uh, when you can throw $1 billion at a problem, I think you can always make something happen.
Well, yeah, it's true. There's always a chance, right?
Yeah. Well, you sent me a couple of pictures. So I'm gonna start showing some of them. That thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about this fancy picture?
Not until I can see it. There it is.
Uh oh.
Oh, so that's
Yeah.
Devil's Tower. So that is a
Devil's Tower.
national, I think it's a national monument, not a national park. That's in Wyoming at the northern end of the Black Hills and then just across the border into Wyoming. And
Okay.
actually, we were just there last weekend. My wife had never seen it, so we went up to see that, and it's, I mean, you can tell from the size of those are full mature trees. So it is a huge monolith that comes out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The historic Native American story that goes with it is it was Bear Mountain, and a giant grizzly bear was chasing the Native Americans, and the ground rose up to protect them. And those gouges in that are from the bear claws, is the old Native American folklore with Devil's Tower. But it's a really neat place to see.
Huh. That is. It looks pretty unique. Like, do
And you can
people?
hike all the way around the base. You can rock climb
Oh,
it.
okay. That's what I was about
Yep.
to ask. So, do people actually get to reach the very, very top?
Oh yes. Yep. Yep. There's
Have
several
you
climbing
done
routes all
so?
the way to the top. No, I'm not a rock climber.
Oh, but I'm pretty sure you got good upper body strength and grip.
Yeah, but the idea of falling off a rock just doesn't appeal to me.
You know, I've watched some videos on YouTube where there's a lot of correlation where rock climbers are actually pretty good arm wrestlers because they utilize a
Yep.
lot of the same thing, grip and forearms and just pulling themselves up all day long. So I wouldn't be surprised if
So
this was actually one of your rock climbing escapades. Here,
as
here
in the winter, when
mhm,
when there's, it's cold and dark and not as much to do, there's a climbing gym in the town where my office is at, and I'll go to
uh-huh.
the climbing gym and climb just to work my hands.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
there's a great correlation between them.
Well, I know I didn't want to like jump the gun a little bit, but you definitely have some good upper body strength. So let me go
Yeah,
find
I hope
this.
so.
This let me show everybody what I'm talking about. About you hold on. I should have labeled the video a little bit. You have this video. Check this, guys. Check this, guys. Ooh, look, ain't no joke. Whoa. See, it proves my point again that you could have scaled that mountain. That's pretty good. Look, yeah, that's right. Look, ain't no joke. Now, going back to this picture, is there something unique about this picture that we should all know about?
I mean, this was down in Colorado this summer. It was at about 11,500 feet up on a obviously a high mountain meadow, and they don't show up very good in the picture, but the wildflowers were all in bloom. It was just a beautiful hike. I'm a mountain junkie. I love the
Mm,
mountains. I find peace in the mountains. I find them very restorative and energizing. In fact, in a month when we're in Switzerland for EVW, I'm staying
mhm.
a couple of extra days and taking a train to go see the Matterhorn, because there is no way I'm going to be that close to the Matterhorn and not go see it. I'm not going to pass up that opportunity in life. So,
Oh, excellent, excellent. There's also this picture. Tell us a little bit more about this picture.
that's right outside my house. That was at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was just an outstanding moon, the harvest moon, just a couple of weeks ago. And I was just really curious to see if I could get a picture of it being 2 o'clock in the morning and what it would look like. And it almost looks more like a sunrise than a moon, but you can see the stars up above it. And yeah, that's not
Wow.
a very good picture of the view outside my house, but yeah, that's right outside my front
Sure.
door.
2 a.m. That's pretty nuts. 2 a.m.
Yeah, it was an
Huh.
incredible moon.
I've actually
We
never been to
have
South Africa
outs.
before.
Well, you're welcome anytime. We have some of the most outstanding skies here I've ever seen. We don't have much for air pollution. We've got decent elevation. You know, like our house is at 3,800 feet, so I mean not super high, but decent elevation. We've got clean air, and we don't have a lot of light pollution just because there's not a lot of population here. So most evenings or most nights I can see the Milky Way and all this stuff. We have outstanding skies.
So GB19 has a question. Do wild animals wander near your house, like wolves or something?
We don't have wolves here. We have coyotes. We get coyotes by the house often, deer, turkey, things like that. So yeah, we have a lot of wildlife around the place, but nothing overly dangerous. Mountain lions occasionally and the occasional bobcat, but no wolves or anything.
Wow. I've been only to North Dakota, and that place is flat. At least the
Yeah,
place
that's
where I
depressing.
was. That is flat. Like
No,
I live in Utah,
there's some
and we
pretty
have
areas
mountains
in North
everywhere.
Dakota, but
So yeah, that is wow. Here's another picture that you sent me. Are you on a horse? I'm guessing.
yep, yeah, I'm riding my horse.
Oh, okay. And this is just like backyard in your back, like your
Yep, that's our
home.
property.
Whoa, fancy guys! Look, our master refs. He has a pretty nice property there. Wow, is that your dog?
I would assume so. Pictures show up a little bit slow for me.
Oh yeah, it's. I think the
Yep.
internet's a little
Yeah, that's my
laggy.
new puppy.
Puppy.
Yeah, she's about 8 months old. She's a giant schnauzer, so she'll be 80 to 100 pounds.
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And
she'll be a big
and
pup.
typically, is this dog mostly used for hunting or just as a companion, security?
Well, for us, she's just a companion. The breed is a working breed, so they do herding, and the giant schnauzers get used a lot for protection work, military work, police work, things like that. So we might at some point do some protection training with her, but primarily she's just a pet.
Just a pet. Wow. Okay. Well, this is a pretty. Well, I guess you have so much, free space. I guess the size doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But when you're like me in a suburban area, it's got to be a little tiny 10-pounder. That's what I
Yeah, she
have.
would not be great in a enclosed tight space for sure. She likes to get out and
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. I just was at my buddy's house and he had a dog that size. And literally, that puppy could knock me over, like run behind me, get all excited, boom. And because they're all friendly, but wow, I just can't imagine how big some dogs are.
Yep.
Over here,
And this
you
this is
have
our
an
local mountain lion here.
oh, well, what's
Come on,
his
get
or
out of
her
there.
name?
That's Lynx.
Lynx.
Yeah,
Okay,
so the cat is Lynx and the dog is Freya.
Freya. Do they go? Do they fight with each other, having the size
They
discrepancy?
don't fight with each other. The dog would love to play with the cat. The cat does not love the dog.
So like, would hiss at the dog or something?
Yeah, he's just not a fan of the dog. It's getting better, but he doesn't like sharing his space with the dog.
Yeah, you gotta get a better picture here. Lynx right there. I my younger brother was in this transition period, and getting prepared to move home, and so I was he brought his cat, to live in my house, and I had my dog, and yeah, it seems like the cat's always having the issue with the dog. The dog's like all cool with
Yep.
it, with the cat, but the cat's always like
Yeah. Yeah, we don't
so.
we don't do anything normal here. That cat walks around at about 15 pounds. He's a big kitty.
Oh, geez. Here's another good picture. Is this your, just your hammock at the back of your, side of your patio or something?
Yep. Yeah, just off of the back porch, and I was curious to see if I could get her to lay in the hammock with me. It worked out just fine. I don't know that that will be a good idea when she's 80 or 100 pounds, but
Oh wow.
getting out of the hammock with her was a little tricky.
So having all this land, do you have anything like is it almost like a ranch style? Do you have like, you know, cows and
Hey,
goats or
we
something?
don't have any cows. We've got 6 horses.
Six
My
horses.
wife is big into horses and does horse shows and stuff like that. So we have 6 horses
Oh.
and dog and a cat and just enough ground to take care of the horses and have some space so we don't see any neighbors where we're at. We can't see any of our neighbors from where we live, which is nice.
So very similar to uh Bob's style, Bob Brown. He,
Yeah.
he has couple horses. His wife is also big into horses, and they go to competitions. Wow.
Um, Bob and I basically married the same woman. Carmen and Tracy are so similar. They're great friends. In fact, Bob and Tracy were just here at the house 3 weeks ago. They came over to visit, and yeah, it works out great.
Okay, so whenever both of you have to travel, like what is the arrangement to keep those your livestock or animals uh taken
The
care of?
the the horses are pretty easy. They've got plenty of grass, plenty of water. We'll kennel the dog. Have somebody check in and look on the cat just to make sure things are fine if we're gone for very long. But it's not too bad. If it's winter, we'll have a neighbor stop over and throw hay to the horses if they need to. But we've got some neighbors with horses that we help them when they're gone. They help us when we're gone, so it works out pretty good.
Oh, okay, fair, fair. Because every time we travel, we are always like scratching our heads. But fortunately, dogs are easy. There's always like, dog motels kind of thing or
Right.
friends. And my dog's pretty small, so that's easy. But it's still a chore. But you guys have like
It is.
horses and cats and dogs. Ooh. Do they feel
Yep.
depressed
We
if
we
you're
have to
gone for
plan
too long?
ahead. What's that?
Do you get does your animals get depressed when you're gone for too long?
No, but the cat will definitely chew you out for about 2 days if you've been gone very long. He just wanders around the house, chastising you for being gone.
Oh man, you're a dog and cat person. Yeah. So somebody just mentioned Dexter has never been to the country. It's obvious. You are not super wrong. You're not super wrong. I have not really been to the country. I mean, the closest I've been to like a ranch or a farm is just watching the Yellowstone TV show. Which, by the way, the first 3 seasons were filmed in Utah. But that TV show was pretty enlightening. Not gonna lie. Uh, Yellowstone. Here's another great picture. That's not the one on like on your wall, right?
No, that was down in Colorado.
Colorado. Oh, like just barely? EBW 19
No,
or
about a year ago.
ah,
Yeah, about a
well,
year ago I took that picture.
seeing how you got so close to this is it, honestly, okay, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how to tell the difference between an elk and a deer. Is it the
Okay, so for size is the big one.
okay?
An elk is a 7-8 thousand pound animal. A deer is a 150 pound animal.
Okay.
The antler structure looks different. Coloring is different, but if you saw them side by side, it would be really, really easy to tell. So, like, here, we'll just do this. So, let's see. That's a deer.
Oh, 1 second. Let me remove that here.
Oh, there, that's
That's
an
a
elk.
deer. This is an
Nope,
elk.
that's a
Oh,
deer. That's the elk.
okay.
Huge
It's a
size
little
difference.
blurry, but I think we get the picture.
Yeah.
How big is the okay? Somebody just asked how many points is that deer?
That deer is a 6x6. That deer was actually shot in 1953 by my grandma.
Oh, okay.
Quit.
So that's that's pretty a family heirloom, I guess.
Yep.
Very nice. Do people? Is it common for people to always mount everything they shoot, or is just the biggest one, right? And they
Just,
only
I
mount
mean,
it if they
everybody's
get
different.
something bigger.
Yeah, everybody's different. I've got friends that they have all kinds of things mounted. Like if they shoot it, they mount it. Um, I don't mount very many things. I've gotten two elk in my life. Both of them were very nice bull elk, and I did mount both of those. I have one deer mounted that I shot. I always keep the horns and I might mount the horns, but I don't mount the heads very often, unless it's a really big trophy animal or something special like an elk, because I don't get to hunt elk every year like some people do. So if I get something really nice and it's a little bit special, then I'll look at mounting it. But yeah, everybody's different.
What about the hide? Do you ever keep the hide for anything?
Not no, I don't. I mean I do on some coyotes and some things like that to, hang over the railing and look nice. I've got a beaver hide over here that my daughter actually painted on the back of. So it's pretty cool. That's just, now it's decoration, but some stuff like that. But no, not don't really do much with the hides.
Huh. You know, it'd be really cool because I think I did a podcast with Rickard Bornemann, and he has an arm
Mhm.
wrestling table where the elbow pads were like alligator skin, so you could top him and have like an elk hide elbow pad.
Right? God,
or,
an
or
alligator skin elbow pad sounds terrible to arm wrestle on, though.
yeah, or maybe it was a pin pads. I'm not sure either one, but I think it was
Yeah,
good to look at, but maybe not so practical. But it'll probably burn you
right.
by maybe in
Yeah,
two
no
sessions.
kidding. I'll
You got
figure out
another
how to wrap my pin pads in rattlesnake.
rattlesnake. That's not bad. Do you eat rattlesnake? Do you catch and eat them?
Uh, I have eaten rattlesnake. Um, it's fine. I don't know that it's something I would go out of my way to eat, but it's not bad.
Uh, you have another question. Is elk meat tastier than normal steak?
I That's a matter of opinion too. I think elk steak is absolutely fantastic. But a lot of people like yourself find it a little bit gamey, and beef is more mild, so maybe a little less flavor, but a little more palatable to more people. The best meat I've ever had in my life anywhere is moose. I think
Moose.
moose is an
Whoa.
outstanding meat, but
Wow. I don't know if I should be saying this, but like I was once fed horse meat.
I was thinking the same thing. I have had horse meat when I've been overseas. Um, it it is not something that I would look to eat just because it's a horse, and here that's just really not what you do. But it was
Right.
very good meat.
Really? Well, for me, I think the biggest issue with those kind of like just big game meat, it is the toughness, and maybe my jaw's a little baby. That I just man, if it's too chewy and too tough, that doesn't really
See, if,
work for
if
me.
it's too tough, it's just been cooked wrong.
Fair, fair.
Because when I
Huh,
when I make deer steak or elk steak, it's just as tender as any good beef steak you've ever had.
really? Like,
But
what are you
the
cooking at?
key
Medium
with
rare?
wild meat, yes, I was going to say the key with wild meat is if you overcook it, it gets tough. So
Mm,
medium is about the most you can do with any wild meat. Medium rare is better. Even when I cook wild duck breast, I only cook duck to medium rare.
duck, really?
Hmm.
Wow, wow. Okay, well, I've never heard of medium rare duck, but I have to look into it. I'm a big fan of
Yep.
duck. I love duck. I love duck is if it's done correctly, like the Peking duck style, kind of the Asian
Yeah.
kind of style, where they blow the skin and it separates from the meat, and ooh, the skin, ooh, and the duck fat. Oh, if you sous vide
Yep.
things in duck fat, Ooh.
See, with wild duck though, there's not much fat. So it's again, it's really lean because it's a wild animal.
Mhm.
And that's why you need to cook that duck. You either cook that duck long, like in a crock pot, which is really
Okay.
good. Like I'll make duck and dumplings in the fall, like you would chicken and dumplings, but I'll use duck and pheasant and grouse. Or you just pan fry it to medium rare, and it's wonderful.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, maybe one day when you catch something, let me know. I might book the first ticket, first flight out there, check it out. But man,
It's a
I,
plan.
I, I do love that. The other one that I enjoy is lamb. I love lamb a
Oh
lot
yeah,
too. But that's not really
goat is
considered big
really
meal.
good.
Goat, yes. The Indians love goat. Goat curry is one of my
Yep,
favorite. But I've never
yep.
had
I
any
think goat's really
goat
good.
outside of a curry, to be honest. But
I've
wow.
had just regular, just like cooked goat meat, like goat steak, I guess.
So there you have it, folks. Your hit ref is a big game chef, not just a hunter, but chef as well. He knows his meat. Like,
I I do
do you
all
make
the cooking in
jerky?
my house. Oh
Oh
yeah,
wow.
I make jerky and sausage, and yep, I do all the cooking in the house. I love to cook.
So when
I
you
even I
smoke them,
even bake bread, Dexter.
wow, sounds like I need to hang out with you a little bit more. Oh, bit brick bread is fresh bread is like unbeatable when it's fresh out of the oven. I
Oh yeah,
slather some great good high quality butter and butter is the way.
good butter, and if you've got some local honey on
Honey,
warm fresh bread. Yep.
honey. Oh, I do have a lot of honey. I do have a lot of honey. Now, do you smoke your meat at all? Like when you do jerky, do you just put it in a drying rack in some oven and low temp, or do you like go the old school way and smoke them?
I've done both. I usually put it in a dehydrator just because it's faster and easier.
Mm. Do you do you have a favorite marinade sauce that you put in it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yep. It's a special spice mix. And then I do a wet brine, I guess, which is a mixture of dark beer, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and let it soak in that with the spices for about 3 days, and then put it in the dehydrator.
Hmm. Okay. Well, so did you build any part of your house? Feels like you're such
Uh,
a country guy that you might be so hands-on and help construct part of the house at least.
so I didn't do any like the building. I I made the mantle for the fireplace,
Oh, okay. Well, that's fancy. That's big enough. See,
and
I knew
I
I was right.
did our steps are walnut steps,
Okay.
and I did the stairs, and then I did for the guest bathroom
Guest
and
bath.
the master bath. I did the vanity tops.
Wow. See, your house looks very, very polished. Like polished as in the sense where it was it, it, it was made from like an interior designer and it's so well thought out. And you look at that and look like, geez, that looks like a pretty expensive Airbnb kind of place that one would rent right next to a
Our
ski resort.
our goal, oddly, was that when you go to the mountains and you rent an Airbnb and you've got your own little lodge, that was what
Right.
we were going for. And our
Oh,
builder knocked it out of the park. He just did an amazing job. The timber framing that you can see and
yeah.
everything. Yeah, it there's really, I mean, people build homes and then they talk about, oh, I wish we'd have done this or wish we'd have done that. We've been living in it close to 3 years and there's nothing that we would change. We love it.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I knew that was a vibe going in. You know, you could easily do an Airbnb on one of the rooms, make a grundle of money. I saw on a report like people would be paying upwards of like over $1,000 per night for some out in the middle of nowhere lodge just because it was
Yeah.
cool. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's
See, the
nuts.
problem is with that, I don't like people that much.
Yeah, I could tell when you're at the table, you're like mean. Oh no, I was kidding. You're not mean,
Hey, I don't have
but
to be mean if they listen.
that is pretty funny. So I got a couple of pictures here from your hobbies. So one of the hobbies that you have, tell us a little bit more about, some of these pictures.
Okay. Oh, so that's a just a magnetic knife block that I made. I like to do woodworking. So that was a little woodworking project that I tried to see if I could make it work and turned out pretty good.
So did you embed like like a magnetized metal
Yep.
insert?
Yep.
Is that what he
There's
did?
the rare earth magnets in it.
Oh, fancy. But you're not a blacksmith, are you?
I do a little blacksmithing. I I do some forging and stuff. I did not make the knives. No, I'm not anywhere near that good.
Okay.
I made some of the door handles on the barn doors in our house, and I make some coat hooks, and I make really cool looking fire roasting sticks that you could use as a weapon in a zombie apocalypse. But I don't make knives yet. Maybe someday when I have more time.
Okay. Are you at the level where you can make the next generation of EVW medals and belts and gauntlet
No,
maybe?
nope.
Because that would be something. And what about this picture? Is it a
Just working
bowl?
with my lathe. I was making a platter out of oh, what wood was that? Um, Paduk. It's a African wood. It's a really hard wood. So I was just working, practicing my lathe skills, making bowls and plates and stuff like that in the winter.
You, somebody just gave me an idea. Instead of having a medal trophy, maybe Luke, can you woodwork an EVW trophy? And
That I could probably figure out. I could probably figure out something there.
that would be pretty cool. Uh, and I see you posting a whole bunch of these pictures, and I'm not gonna lie, that feels like there's a lot of experience involved to get that many
Yeah,
layers
those
and intricacies.
those take a lot of work. Those are some cutting boards that I did last year around Christmas for people, and I I sell some of it. I sell enough of my stuff to pay for the tool that I want that I don't need. And I give away gifts at Christmas, and I make quite a few tables every year that go to a art gallery up in the Black Hills that she sells and stuff. So
Wow.
it's just a fun little hobby.
So somebody's asking, what's the highest quality wood?
Oh, it completely depends on what you want to do. From just a beauty aspect, personally, I think it's walnut.
Okay.
But walnut isn't a great wood for certain things, depending on what you want to do, because it's really hard and heavy and stuff like that. But so it just depends on what you want to do. If you want really, really hard things, you either use walnut or oak or hard maple, or exotic woods can be really, really hard.
So I've a follow-up question to that, right? Where do you source all this wood? Is it like just at your backyard and you decide go out one day, I want to make a chopping board. Let me go saw down a tree. Or
Well,
do you go
not
to the lumber store and buy
not quite that close. There are a couple of sawmills in the Black Hills that I go and I source wood from. That's what they do. They go out and find the timber and then mill it and dry it and everything like that. And I'll buy stuff from them, like the walnut that I got for the stairs. I got from a local sawmill. Otherwise, there's wood stores. We've got a wood store in Rapid City, South Dakota that I can get some exotics and some more harder to find woods, some bird's eye maple and some things like that that I will go and get when I'm currently building a nightstand right now that's going to be walnut and bird's eye maple and so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, it just depends on what I'm looking for. There's I think I sent you that's zebra wood. So that's an exotic that I think comes from Africa. Beautiful, beautiful wood. I love working with
Yeah,
zebra
it
wood,
looks real
but
beautiful.
it's an expensive wood. Um, it's like those two boards. You see, they're not huge, but the big one I sold for $125, and the little one I sold for 75. Just, I mean, it's such unique wood, but it's expensive wood, so it makes for an expensive board.
Wow. It does look beautiful though. I mean, the
It's
lines are so
gorgeous.
fine, but you can see it's real detail, and wow. Wow. Zebra. Looks old too, I think. Huh. Here's another picture of this one looks more normal, more standard.
Yep, just a butcher block cutting board.
Okay, so at the bottom right, okay, if you see that
Yep,
that lazy SP wood and metal, is that what it is?
metal. Yep. So the Lazy SP was my grandfather's cattle brand that he registered in the state of South Dakota in 1941.
Okay.
And when he retired, I bought the cattle brand to keep it in the family.
Okay.
And then Corey Miller helped me design the mountains and add the words in and make it an actual logo. And then that's what I use for my woodworking.
Oh, fancy. Well, there's another piece of history. Don't want to get it lost.
Yep.
This one looks a little bit more colorful. What's happening here?
So that is a bunch of different exotics. There's Paduke and zebra wood, and there's a little bit of walnut in there. You can see um, rosewood in there. That ended up being finished out into a cutting board that's sitting right now on my counter. That's mine. I made that one for me. Weighs about 25 pounds.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this big question, right? And I'm sure people will be asking the same. Do you have a like an arm wrestling table that you've built from scratch?
I don't. The arm wrestling table that I have is a Mazurenko table.
Okay.
The top on it is a custom wood top that my son made in high school. And so he built the top, and then on opposing corners, he wood burned in his name and date of birth, and on the other corner is my name and date of birth. And then in one corner is the arm wrestling logo with the arms tied up. And
Uh-huh.
then on the other corner is the Monster energy drink logo, because at the time Monster was a big arm wrestling sponsor. Um, so yeah, my tabletop is a custom wood tabletop, but my son built it in high school shop class.
Oh, well, that's good enough for me. Now, another question: do you have a helical planer?
So I have a planer.
Mhm.
It's just got standard blades on it, not helical. Honestly, I don't use it very often. I actually do most of my work with something called a drum sander for boards and stuff like that. I find it's just as easy to use a drum sander as it is the helical planer, and I can fit bigger things through it.
Where did this sort of interest from woodworking come from? Just shop classes in
Um,
high school?
I, no, really started 5 or 6 years ago is all. Maybe a little longer. Just some little projects. It was kind of, I wonder if I can, and I could, and then I'd try something else, and then I tried something else, and I I seem to have a knack for being able to look at a piece of wood and see what it's going to look like, and bring the beauty of the wood out. Um,
Mm.
I've got a pretty decent knack for identifying wood that's going to be pretty once it's finished. Like I've got a couple of tables behind me I could show you that are just they're just stunning pieces of wood, and you would say, "Wow, you did an amazing job." But realistically, the wood did all the work. I just polished it up.
Somebody just gave an idea. EVW cutting boards coming soon. Oh man. Now, here's another question: is humidity an issue for wooden houses?
It can be. I live in an area of the country that has very low humidity, so it's not an issue for us.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of pre dried out. Uh, Here's another piece that you've probably built, I'm guessing.
Yep. That's one that went up to the art gallery and sold.
Wow. Very, very nice. Is that a bench or like a coffee
No, that's a
table?
that's a coffee table. Yep,
Oh,
that's a walnut coffee table that I made. And then you probably got a picture of two walnut side tables with whiskey barrel legs
that's
that I made.
right. Is this one of them?
Yeah.
Oh, and here. Jeez, wow. All these are beautiful pieces. Just the leg itself looks
Yep. I
pretty
don't
cool.
build the legs. I order those, but that's a piece of canary wood, again an exotic, but it's a
Canary wood.
beautiful wood to work with. Makes beautiful charcuterie boards and cutting boards, and it made an outstanding table.
Where's that canary wood from?
I I want to say Africa, but it might be South America. I can find out real quick.
Uh, so, wow. Okay. Well, and then here you have this wood seems
That's
normal but
again canary
feathered.
wood.
Looks good, like
Yep, South
golden.
America is where canary wood comes from.
South America. South America. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. I, I mean, I was I was at some wood workshop or whatever you call it, because and they built a lot of custom furnitures for high-end clients, and you'd be surprised. I
Mm-hmm.
think some of the pieces that I'm looking at, they could be worth a lot of money. I'm just saying, like I'm
Oh
talking
yeah.
about in the thousands. So you might be you might want to post some of these online and do an auction or something. But just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. You have another. Oh, here's a super chat. Luke Pulcher versus Bill Collins super match with Coach Ray and Jody Larrett as match referees.
Well,
Oh,
it's funny because Bill and I have talked about a match for probably 10 years just because it would be fun. Um, but Jody and Ray as the refs, that would be more entertaining than the match.
Jody and Ray. Jody can't be a ref. She's the owner of the company. Owners can ref.
Obviously.
Dubai.
Yep.
It's Dubai. All
Now,
right.
the referee versus referee match that I do want,
Uh-huh.
that I think would be a really fun match at an East versus West event, would
Okay.
be myself versus Hristo.
Okay. I mean, both of you do compete quite regularly at all the tournaments. So, I mean,
Yep, we
that's
pulled a
not
little
up.
bit together on the side table, and I think it. I my dog and my cat are fighting through the window.
Okay.
I
That's
would
cool.
think Christo
Dog.
would probably be the favorite in the match,
Uh-huh.
but I think it'd be a great match. We both are inside pullers, so it would be a grinder. Um, I think the fans would like to see the referees go at it once.
You know, so that's a really great idea because we have this whole thing that we're planning out for at our next event in America in December 13th, guys, right? We are finalizing the venue. So until then, I won't announce that yet. But we're gonna have the prelims that's gonna be aired on EVW's channel, YouTube channel for free. So it could be a couple events, maybe 4 events. And then maybe, after the 4 events, we'll transition into the pay-per-view event, right?
Sure.
So the idea behind that is so that new up and coming guys who are showing up for the first time would be on the prelims and they can work their way up into the main event, kind of thing.
That's a
We're
great
not
idea.
adding too much time to the pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that match could be, you guys are already there at the event.
Right, right. Yeah.
Just throw it in one more. Maybe I'll have to talk to Robert and see what he might think I'm crazy, but But no, I mean, yeah, let's swing. Oh, we forgot to do one thing though. Before we go into the arm wrestling component, okay, we have one of the hobby video. So let's air that real quick. Feel free to narrate through this.
So I was just pulling the plane over to put fuel in it. And the reason I videoed it was because after EVW and Strongest Arm on Earth, Brian went to Canada for a whatever appearance, and he pulled a plane there, like a big, great big plane, like they do in World's Strongest Man, and he hurt his
Okay.
lat a little bit. Nothing serious, but he pulled his lat a little bit. So I took this video and sent it to Brian with a note that said, "I pulled a plane and I didn't hurt anything, you big sissy," which got a great laugh from Brian and stuff. So that's why that video exists, is because I was poking fun at Brian.
Okay. So are you like an amateur pilot, you know?
No, this was actually my brother-in-law's airplane.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
getting my pilot's license is very much on my bucket list. It just hasn't made it high enough in the bucket list to start to work on yet.
Fair enough. And so were you just like a passenger, or this is part of your, training routine?
He, no, they had flown in to visit for the weekend and they were getting ready to leave. So I just pulled his plane over so he could put gas in it and fly out. And I got a video of it so I could pick on Brian.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's one day. One day. And one last video, because there are people who've been asking, what really do you do for work? Outside of arm wrestling, of
Oh,
course.
yep. I run a wealth management company, or a firm. So I do comprehensive financial planning. I work on the investment side, the insurance side. I help my clients build a cohesive financial blueprint for them to reach their goals. I work nationwide, so I think I've got clients in 29 states now. The name of my firm is Missing Link Wealth Solutions, and I'm a part of Northwestern Mutual. So I've been doing a little over 23 years.
Right. And here you can see Luke Pulcher's master ref of EVW's room. Of course, he has all his accomplishment. It's, what's missing? An arm wrestling table.
Yeah, I know.
You should be like, hey, you know what? If you beat me, then you can walk out the door. But if I beat you, you're signing today.
There's a little bitty arm wrestling table on the shelf there.
Where's that at? Oh yeah. I see. Is that the WAF one
Yeah.
on the bottom left corner? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think Robert has the same one on his desk as well.
Yeah, I think
Think.
we got those in Romania when we were there for Worlds in 2019.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think Robert has that on his desk. Looks similar,
Probably,
which is
yep.
why I recognize that. But what about that whole planetary system that you have out there?
Yeah, so that's an old solar system model. Near as I can find, it's from the early 1900s. The sun on the right there is brass. Then you got the Earth and the Moon, and you can crank it, and as you move it around, all the chains move and everything rotates.
Ah,
Um, and that
okay.
that sat in my grandparents' office my entire life, and then it ended up in my office.
Oh, okay. Fans. Somebody just mentioned that Todd Hutchings is a carpenter as well. Well, is there like a common
That
theme that
doesn't
if all
surprise
the
me at all.
all the arm wrestlers having the same kind of hobbies, out in the country, horses, carpenters? I think a lot of arm wrestlers just likes to do things with that it's hands on. I think.
Yep.
I think. I think that's what it is. Um. So anyway, now let's move on to the arm wrestling component. So very quickly, in terms of pictures, I got this with Anna. Anna
Yep, me and
Gunberg.
Anna. Yeah, that
What
was at Worlds last year in Moldova.
Moldova? Okay. Any other significance to this?
Nope, just me and Anna hanging out.
Oh
Just
yeah,
the best part of arm wrestling is the arm wrestling family.
that's
As
true.
as you're starting to learn. Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world. Arm wrestlers, they they'll welcome you with open arms, and I think it's still like a very small family. So you run into everybody very very very
Yeah.
often. And here you are
It's
with none other than Ray and Tina. Now, where is this one at?
that was at the Colorado State Championships a week after the Shaw Classic. So the week between the Shaw Classic and the Colorado State tournament, Ray and Tina came back to South Dakota with me and stayed with us for a week, and we toured them around. And Tina spent as much time as she could riding horse, and Ray and I did some arm wrestling training and some touring around and just hanging out. It was a absolutely fantastic week. They were a true pleasure to have at the house.
Okay, so one of the relevant questions somebody just asked is, what weight category do you compete in?
I competed either 90 kilogram or 85 kilogram, depending on the event. And so in the US, 187 or 198.
Okay. What about hands, left or right,
Just right hand.
or both?
My
Oh, just
left
right.
hand sucks, so I don't really train it. Years ago, I did something to my left wrist that kind of buggered it up, and it never really healed well. So it hurts to compete left-handed, and I'm not very good at it. So I just focus on the right arm.
Oh, and for somebody who is asking this, no, Anna is not his wife.
Nope.
It's just a fellow arm wrestler. It's a big. Yeah. It's a really nice small family. So here
Yep.
we have
Here
you.
we're each of us have our Colorado State championships on in that picture there too. We all won state titles in Colorado at that event.
Okay, so that's all gold medal, right?
Yep.
And well, Tina has three.
Yeah. Yep. She won right hand, left hand in her weight, and then she won the left hand super weight.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, that's
Tina
pretty.
Tina is a beast on the table. That girl is incredible.
Hmm. I gotta keep my eye on her. Who knows? We are always trying to kind of push the boundaries a little bit, right? If it's the old school arm wrestling, then there are certain favorable weight categories. So everybody loves the super heavies. Nothing wrong with that. I think the lighter weight guys needs to also have their time, their light as well. Their moment to shine.
Yep.
Not only that, but also I think women. I think we need to kind of encourage a little bit about women. So like even with Snezana's match, right? There was this thing about, well, Snezana and Eileen Pearson, their weight is technically not in the 60 kilogram category, and they're even in 55. So we were wondering, maybe should we set a brand new weight category at 52? But then we look at our roster and we were like, well, even in our 60 kilogram category, there isn't a lot of athletes that are competing in it. So to
Right.
set another category at 52 doesn't make sense. So I know a lot of the posters we actually had, it says 60, but technically they both agreed to compete at 52. So, but anyway, point being is we're gonna try to push more and more females out there, and just everybody has an opportunity, to have the spotlight on them. So yeah, I mean, there's potentially, we're always looking, always looking.
Yep.
Here we have you. There we go. All right. So tell me a little bit more about this this you know this video here? Is that kind of like your
Uh,
daily routine kind of thing?
yeah, definitely part of my weekly workout. It's the hammer strength portion, the back pressure part that I'm working there. Just
Okay.
through the hand. I'm not working any pronation there at all. Just purely back pressure um, movement there that I'm working on.
Okay. And were you in Japan or something?
No, at Worlds every year. One of the best things to do for souvenirs is you trade team jerseys with people from other countries. And I had
Oh,
traded with one of the Japanese competitors.
yeah. I mean, that looks pretty nice. Now,
It's a
okay.
super nice shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just commenting that that shirt looks like something I would wear just out going on to the mall or something. Now, I see the way you're doing that whole back exercise thing. Are you in s- like a arm wrestling specific type gym, or is that kind of you
Nope,
brought
it's just a
your
gym
table
about
there?
just a gym about 3 blocks from my office that the owner lets me keep a half table there behind the pulley machine
Okay.
to come in and do my training. So, yep, the owner's awesome. He's always been very very supportive of me. That like most gyms, he has the rule: no gym bags allowed in the gym. No this, no that. Well, my gym bag is full of training handles. He
Mm-hmm.
lets me keep my table there. He lets me bring my gym bag in with my training handles in. Um, because of those things that he allows me to do, I tend to work out at a time when the gym is relatively empty so that I'm not monopolizing the cable machine or having my stuff in people's way. So it's a great relationship. I think I've worked out at that gym now for almost 28 years. Um,
28 years.
and yeah, the owner's always been very, very supportive of me in the sport and everything. So it's a great gym. It's called the Weight Room. So it's one of those funny ones when somebody says, "Where do you work out?" and I say the Weight Room, and they're like, "Well, yeah, no kidding. What's
Yeah.
the name of it?" The Weight Room. Yep, the Weight Room in Rapid City.
So how often do you train, and every session what duration are we talking about?
Most of my training sessions are about an hour. I work
Mhm.
out in the morning, so I go into the office. I drive about 55 miles to get to my office from where I live. I go into my office, I get everything fired up for the day, computer turned on, check emails to see if there's anything urgent. And then I go to the gym for an hour and then I come back and I start meeting with clients after that. I go to the gym 4 days a week and do my workouts there, which all
Wow.
of my workout, well, not all of, but 90% of my workout routine come from Coach Ray. I've been working with Coach Ray for my training for probably 2.5 years now, and it's been phenomenal. Like their training. Giannis and Ray are wicked smart when it comes to training. And then I do another 2 to 4 workouts a week at home in my garage. So
Oh,
I try to get in 6 to 8 training sessions a week.
okay. Now, quick, very quickly, right? Do you have like somebody's asking? Do you have an arm wrestling club or training partners locally? Just
So
seeing how that
I
you're
that's
so far out in
always
the country.
right. Yeah, that's always been a struggle for me is local people to train with. I'll get some here and there that show up for a while and then they don't. So my closest training partners are 2 and 3 hours away, and it's AJ Henson and Corey Miller. So I usually get to train with them once or twice a month. I'll make the drive and go train. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so I don't have great local. Now there's getting to be a few newer guys that are a little more local.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do a I don't I wouldn't say I don't need, but I don't do a lot of table training as far as practice goes anyway. Um, you go to the gym to get strong and you go to arm wrestling practice to learn to arm wrestle. I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this 26 years. I know how to arm wrestle. Not that I can't improve and get better, because I certainly can. But
Mm-hmm.
the table time isn't as important for me as trying to get my weaknesses stronger. So I do a lot more gym training than I do table practice. But I still try to get on the table at least once a month or twice a month if I can.
Wow. Yeah, that could be that part is one of the struggles, you know. It's a known trade-off for you, I guess. Known
Yeah.
trade-off. Here's
Yep.
another video of you. Straight horizontal.
That's just working side pressure with a little bit of pronation. Just working on the strength on the top side of the hand. It looks like I would be training there to top roll someone. I'm
Mhm.
actually training that to prevent from being top rolled.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Oh, I see a phone already, and this is the this is the one we saw earlier. Now, aside from me pointing out all the references to rock climbing, but in this video, like, is there it's just regular bicep tricep kind of
Yeah, there's a lot of
shoulder.
core involved in that movement. Um, I like it because as you're holding yourself up and you're moving in and out, it's reinforcing that we come here. This is what we do. We pull. It's not a pushing sport, it's a pulling sport. So
Hmm.
that particular way of doing pull-ups, I think helps me stay tight and joined up and keep my shoulders and chest and everything engaged and healthy.
Right.
Um, years ago, in the background of a video that I was watching from some Norwegian guys doing an arm wrestling thing, I saw guys in the background doing that and
Hmm.
went and tried it. And I just fell in love with that movement. I've been doing it ever since.
I mean, it looks cool to the un unknowledgeable guy here. Another question that somebody just asked: Luke, do you prefer refereeing or competing more?
Well, as an East versus West ref, I'm supposed to say that I love refing more, but I truly love competing more than refing.
No, I think it should be. It's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but it's going to have to be because I would choose competing over refing every time.
Mm, okay. I I I can see how that is very appealing to most. Really. Uh, he- there's another question that I've had for you. Who would you rank the top five arm wrestlers of all time?
If you just go at any weight, obviously John Brzenk, Devin, Engen Terzi, Giannis Tomlins. The fifth one probably gets a little harder. Ron Bath has had an amazing arm wrestling career. A lot of people in the U.S. have said that if John Brzenk wouldn't have existed, that Ron Bath would have been John Brzenk. Um, there was a time that Richard Lipke's was an unstoppable force. Actually, Richard is one of the few humans on the planet that has a winning record over John.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think Mindaugas Terasites could be put in that conversation. I mean, Mindy is an incredible arm wrestler. So yeah, at that point, I'd have to think really hard. But I mean, the first names are pretty easy to come up with. John, I don't think there's any argument like him or don't like Devin. He's an incredible arm wrestler. And will go down as one of the greats. I mean, Levon is one of the greats. I mean, what is he at 7 years now without a loss on the arm wrestling table? I mean,
Yeah.
who does that? That's incredibly impressive. I I don't think Levon gets the credit he deserves because I think a lot of people view Levon as this great, big, strong monster of a man that just out horsepowers everybody. But for anybody that truly understands arm wrestling, they understand that Levon is an outstanding arm wrestler. Um, if you watch the last match that he pulled against Aramis, that really showed because he had made some adjustments from the first time they pulled and truly manhandled Aramis, which is not an easy thing to do. I mean, really, the only two people I have seen beat Aramis with just true, complete, and utter control is Levon and Devin. And I would love to see the Aramis Devin match again because I think it would be a better match because I think Aramis was beat by Devin 3 days before they arm wrestled. I think he completely lost the head game with Devin that week. He spent too much time with Devin. He spent too much time listening to Devin. And when Aramis walked on the stage at East versus West that time, he was beat before he ever gripped up with Devin, in my opinion. Um, so I'd love to see that match again. But yeah, I mean, Aramis is another one. He's a phenomenal arm wrestler. Daniel Pakopchuk has got to be in that conversation. Um, Oleg's I can't say his
Petrenko,
last name. The guy with the freaky left hand that was in the
Zok.
car wreck with Pushkar. Zulk, yes.
Yeah, Oleg
Another, I
Zok.
mean, had he have not had that accident, he would be in that conversation every single day. Because at that time
Mm.
he was weighing 85 kilograms and consistently beating the super heavyweights left-handed.
You
So
mentioned you mentioned something that I just want to dive deeper a little bit. You know, as being a ref on the table, nobody in the world has a better view of how a match is happening, right? Because camera
mhm.
angles may miss certain things, but you are literally point blank, sometimes even holding the head. So that's I think one benefit of being a ref. Everybody, actually get to observe how every athlete, small nuances and little tricks they're trying to get an advantage, and just basically while you're refereeing. it
Yeah.
is that a
I
fair statement?
I 100% would not have accomplished what I've accomplished competing in arm wrestling if I would not have been a ref. I am so much better of an arm wrestler because of my refing, and I think I'm a better ref because of my arm wrestling. But refing, even though I prefer competing, refing has opened a lot of doors for me. When I was young in the sport and I was refing, it was the only way that I could afford to get to tournaments outside of my local area. I was young, I had a young family, I was building a business, I didn't have disposable income, but they'd cover my plane ticket if I'd come and ref, and then they'd let me arm wrestle for free. Or if I could get there, they'd give me a hotel room, but I could arm wrestle for free. So I got to arm wrestle in a lot of places starting out that I wouldn't have if it wouldn't have been for refereeing. And then just by pure luck of where I lived, the referees I learned from were all WAF master referees. It was Leonard Harkless, Keith Michelle, Bob Koschel, rest his soul, Gary Waddles. Then the next person out of that group of master referees that I refed with that wasn't one of them was Bill Collins. So I didn't have an option not to become a good ref just based off of who I refed with. Um, and then, then refing at the WAF level and gaining my international master certification and then having the opportunity to ref East versus West and the Monster Factory and those different things. They've also opened up arm wrestling opportunities for me. And so yeah, I mean the two for me have very much gone hand in hand. Um, but yeah, and I've gotten to say go for most of the best arm wrestlers on the planet. I have not given Levon a ready go yet, but he's about one of the only ones that are truly legends or whatever in the sport that I haven't had the opportunity to say go, and that's pretty cool too. And then getting to meet him and expand the family of arm wrestling that way. Yeah, like I said, I prefer competing over refing, but I certainly I certainly don't. I guess I understand what refing has brought me and how lucky I've been to have that, and lucky or whatever it was to develop into a referee to have those opportunities as well. So it's worked out really well. I mean, I get to go to Switzerland. I get to arm wrestle at the Swiss Open, and I get to ref East versus West. I mean, how does it? That's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the path where John Brusing, his famous story of being an airline mechanic so he could fly around the world and attend
Right?
competitions. you know. So that's and to your same example, you are surrounded with all the master ref that you've got to be good because you have all this great mentor. And a similar story is Robert Baxter, the CEO of EVW Sports. He was like, "Who's the best in the
Yep.
world in arm wrestling?" And this was like 35 years ago. And I was like, "Oh, there's this guy named John Bruising. I don't know who this guy is. Let me look up in the phone book. Oh, he's my neighbor, like two streets
Yep.
down or something." And like, and ends up being 7-time WAF world champion. So
Yeah, I was going to say most
yeah,
people don't understand just how good of an arm wrestler Robert Baxter is. He is an outstanding arm wrestler.
yes, yes, and so yeah, I think probably John and there's obviously a pretty decent sized crew in Utah that help
Yeah.
help everybody out. But
Yep. I mean, at one time at that training camp, you had John, Robert, Todd Hutchins, Kevin Bongard, and and John and Bob Brown. I mean, you had all of those names at one practice. That's who they trained with.
yeah, yeah, I mean it's hard to be not very good at that point. You
Right.
have a lot of
Yeah.
people sharing all the ideas and especially during the time of where internet wasn't as prevalent, so you couldn't just go online and like, hey,
Yep.
how do I practice arm wrestling or train? Oh, you're talking about back in the 90s, right? So it's just, hey, I think this is the best way to train. Like, no, 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 this is actually better, and they'll share ideas. So I can definitely see how, you know, there's distinct pockets of groups out
Yep.
there that have shown that they've built superstars from
Yep. I
just
mean,
having.
think of that with that practice. The worst guy in that practice has still been a multiple time world champion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean it's
So
insane.
yeah, Ron
Down
Bass.
south, you've got Justin Bishop and Craig Toulier and
Yeah,
Dan Mosier and Chad Silvers that all trained in that same local area and built each other up. And in the East Coast, there's the same thing. And yeah, there's those pockets of arm wrestling greatness. It's a little bit more spread out, but in the U.S., you've got Corey Miller, Devin Bear, AJ Henson, all just in the Wyoming area, and they're all multiple time national champions, and Corey's got a few world titles and things like that, so it's interesting, greatness breeds greatness.
yeah, and I think the North Americans certainly need that. And judging from
Yes.
last Sunday when I did the analysis on the trend lines for arm wrestling, it is it is growing. It is growing at a very, very good rate. Very, very good rate. Uh, Robert and I, we were having a conversation. We were like, "Hey, we need to have like a home base, right?" So we were like debating internally: should it be Vegas? Should it be Utah? Because me and you, Robert, we are both from Utah, right? We were like,
Right.
"Oh, Vegas. There's more people who would want to travel to Vegas, and it's pretty cheap right now because that's not all the tourists." But I'm like, well, Robert, that might change in 2 years when the economy is all back up, right? We got to be careful of that. We want something long term. And then he's like, well, this, and this is, oh, but Utah, I don't think we'll get a very big crowd. And I'm like, that's not correct either, because based on, because when Devin visited Utah for just a couple of days, he pulled out his app and he was like looking for arm wrestling community, and he was like, whoa, there's a lot of arm wrestlers that we
Sure.
don't even know that's registered on his app, right? So I'm telling Robert, like, I think there's a lot more arm wrestlers. They may not go to practice every week, but they register as one, which tells me that if we host an event in Salt Lake City, that would still have a decent crowd, because I think arm wrestling, it's a
Yeah,
very unique thing. But yeah, go
I
ahead.
think I think it would. And Salt Lake, I mean, traditionally Salt Lake isn't overly expensive to fly to. It's a very, very major airport. Um, so you've got that aspect of it too. I mean, it's easy to default to Vegas because there's so much to do there, and it's a destination place and stuff. Um,
Right.
but yeah,
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just think that arm wrestling is I'm just really excited, right? If we look through the trend lines of even our YouTube channel's growth, right? Devin's YouTube channel's growth, and even search engine from Google, it's showing that the trend lines is going. I think we are only a couple of years away from getting massive recognition from crowds, right? You would be walking down. I know you've mentioned, your philosophy is, the best ref is a ref that nobody talks about or nobody knows about because he's doing his job. But I think even as that, you are probably technically you have the most airtime of anybody other than Neil. Maybe even more than Neil, actually. Our announcer,
Yeah,
because
I'd never thought of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have the most FaceTime on screen. You have the most technically exposure, if anything, right? So there is there is a possibility that maybe not through, maybe in a few years, you will have a struggle walking down the street without people recognizing. Hey, aren't you that rev from that arm wrestling thing? It'll start from there, and then eventually people were like,
Yeah.
"Yo, Luke, you made the wrong call last week, buddy." It's that
Right. Yeah,
guy.
that's what they'll do. Yeah.
that that's That's probably what would happen. Now, okay. So now I got one other follow up question. Okay, having this intimate knowledge or experience of seeing arm wrestlers at the table gripping up, right? What has there? Do you have any stories about how how somebody is extremely underrated in their setup that most people don't know and nobody has really covered?
Um, I don't know about that. I can tell you the hardest match I have ever refereed did not have Devin in it. And it was an East versus West match, but the hardest match I've ever refed was Giannis versus Mindy
Oh,
because
in
they're both
Arlington?
so, yes, they're
Oh,
both so technical, and every time one of them would make an adjustment in the setup, the other one knew how to counter it in the setup, and it was just, and neither of them were being a problem, right? They weren't being audacious or anything. They're just doing what they do, but they were so precise about point counterpoint. And so much of that was missed by the fans either not understanding what they were seeing or the camera's not able to see that intricacy that I'm 6 inches away from. Uh,
mm-hmm,
but that match was truly exhausting. I mean, after it was all over and I was back in the green room, uh, I told Giannis, great job. And he said, yeah, you did a really good job reffing that. And I said, yeah, I hope you're tired because I am. And he just laughed at me and he goes, yeah, I bet you are. Um, so, I've gotten to see and hear things during matches that a lot of times the viewers don't get to see or hear just because the mic doesn't happen to pick it up.
mm-hmm,
Um, everybody talks about how gentlemanly John is as a competitor, which he is. I mean, John is a true sportsman. There's no doubt about that. But John talks at the table during a match a lot more than people realize. Um, he just doesn't say it very loud, and he says it to his competitor mid-match. And I've gotten to hear all those in the matches that I've refed. The one that jumps into my head was when I refed him and Corey West. The very first go, John caught him, and as he started to bring him back in kind of a low growl out of John, he says, "That's all the stronger you are," as he pinned him, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Right? I was like, "Ah." So I've gotten to be firsthand with a lot of those things. Which has been really cool. But a lot of the times I'm so focused on trying to get the match set up appropriately. Um, I don't even, I mean, I know, but I'm not conscious really of who's at the table because I
right.
don't care who's at the table. I'm just doing my job. Um, and so there's a lot of things I can think of in my head from memories of this happened or this, but I don't remember who did it because it was just in the middle of a match and there's I mean, I don't know how many matches I've refed at this point in my refing. It's a bunch. So a lot of them just kind of meld together and stuff too. So I remember almost all the mistakes I've made. So anybody out there that thinks as a referee we don't care, I would tell you you're just wrong. I go back and watch the footage, and when I make a mistake, I feel bad about it. It's inevitable. We're going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but we do our
Fair.
best. But we take that hard. If we make a mistake, we regret it. We wish we wouldn't have. We try to figure out how to fix it the next time. So
Right. That's yeah. I mean, people pay good money to be sitting in the front row, and there you have it, right there. Now we gotta talk a little bit more from a media standpoint because maybe the ref needs to put on like a camera headgear, one of the GoPros that's wireless. You know,
we're
I mean,
Ray-Ban glasses.
yeah, Ray-Ban glasses. That's right. One of those that can transmit, you know, and that's one of the
Yep.
viewing angles that the controllers has. That let's switch to the head revs camera. It'll just look funny
Yep.
on your head. But man, that I mean that will show very very good. Now I think about it. I don't know. I gotta think about that a little bit more because you are right. Because the current camera that we have, right? It's our director of photography, Aaron. He's back there with the
Yep.
his gimbal and everything. He's usually on the shoulder, right? Mostly on
Right.
the I think it's left shoulder, and oftentimes like if you move and his angle is kind of cut off and he has to quickly shift to the other side depending on who's getting pinned and whatnot. But still, it doesn't beat a head ref with a camera right on his head or something, because that viewing angle is way different. Way different. Oh man, even a top-down camera wouldn't capture certain of that action.
No.
But hmm.
No.
Okay, I gotta think a little bit about this one. Anyway, one of the fans, one of the viewers are asking, do you think Hermes versus Devon? How do you think Hermes versus Devon match went? Was there any unfair advantages at setup, as everybody says?
So I know I don't think so. Devin was actually way less of a problem to set up in that match than Hermes was. Hermes was so uncomfortable with Devin's hand and his setup. He couldn't get focused. If and as every well not everybody, but as we know, in East versus West currently, movement in a referee grip is a warning, not a foul. But even if we would have called Hermes on all of that for just warnings, I don't know that Hermes would have ever seen a ready go in that match. He couldn't hold his grip. He was constantly moving in a referee's grip. Um, I have a great regret in that match. During that match, I at a point looked at Hermes and said, "Stop whining." That was a very poor choice of words as the head referee. I have talked to Hermes about that and apologized for that word. I should have used a more professional word than that. It was not an appropriate way to address that. Hermes and I are good. So, but no, I mean, Devin does what Devin does to get an advantage in the head, in the hand, in the arm. I mean, Devin is a warrior from top to bottom, inside and out. How he does it, a lot of people love, a lot of people don't. But in that particular match, I think Devin had a front row seat in Aramis' head long before the match started. And then after the first go, where Devin had such control, Aramis had a hard time collecting himself. Was a lot bigger issue. I think Aramis learned a lot from that match, and that's why I'd like to see that match again. Is because I don't think Devin would be able to get into his head as much as he did the first time. I think Aramis really learned from that,
Hmm.
and became a lot better arm wrestler because of it. But to say that no, Devin never had an advantage, well, that's absurd. Of course he did. He's Devin. Um, I mean, everybody has an advantage in a match at some point, especially the guy winning. That's why they're winning. But was it why Aramis lost? No, not even close.
Hmm. Fair enough. Somebody just asked, if is there a third video review ref now at EVW? The answer is
Yes. So what
yes.
we're Yep.
Go
So
ahead,
what we're
Luke.
doing now with that is two things that we're doing with that is we have a referee watching the video constantly, and that referee is also keeping track of the count of the match. So he's keeping tracks of warnings, fouls, when it goes to a strap, if it's in a referee's grip, to avoid a Credetia mistake again. Um, because through the course of a match, there are so many restarts and warnings and fouls and this and that, and coincidental where there's no call but a restart. Um, it can be hard to keep it all straight when you add in all the adrenaline, all the testosterone, the lights, the pressure, the stress, all of it. So we've added that in. What the video referee does not do, that referee does not make calls. That referee is there to consult if the head referee needs to go and view the camera for a protest or because they want to review their own call. So if you were to go back and watch EVW 19, you'd see us handle the protests. We're on mic with the camera people asking for the different shots that we need to see what we see. We consult with the video referee on what they think they might have saw. Ultimately, though, the call is made by the referee at the table, not the referee on the video. I don't see a future where the video ref is making calls. But I'm not necessarily the person that makes those decisions either. I don't like that model. I don't think it's a good thing. You also, I don't remember what match it was in. I believe it was Brian Shaw versus Brandon Allen. It could have been Devin versus Credetia right-handed. I'm not sure. I know it was a match that I had refed. After a call, I wanted to see the video review to make sure that I got the call right. So even without a protest, I went, viewed it. We did make the right call. We continued on. So that's what the video ref is for and how it operates currently. Um, but they don't make calls. They're there to support the head ref and the down ref during the match.
Yeah, I think it was Brian Shaw's and Brandon's match. I think that's when you stepped to the side just to review if it was a pin.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, that's right. The comments are coming. It was Brian's match. Now,
Okay.
do you
Yeah.
think Alex and Devin in Chicago was the biggest mistake that you've ever, like experienced in your refereeing career?
I mean, well, ref in career, I don't know, but in probably because it resulted in a match being called uh winner when it shouldn't have. There and arguably Alex was making some level of a comeback. Um, and had there been another go, could that have completely shifted the tides and all the what if, could ifs, shoulda, coulda, wouldas? You never
Yeah,
know. But
correct.
I mean, to have both Christo, who is an outstanding referee, in my opinion, one of the very, very best in the world, and Bill Collins, who everybody knows and knows what is such a good referee. For that to happen, and then to have both of them make a video talking about this was the mistake. We can't believe we made it. We feel horrible about it. That in itself speaks to the level of the mistake that it was, but also to the fact that it was a mistake. There was no ill will, there was no bad intent. It was a mistake.
Yeah, yeah,
But we've taken steps now to make sure that a mistake like that can't happen again. We're not saying there won't ever be a mistake in an EVW match. That would be absurd. But there
right.
should never be a mistake like that.
What are your thoughts on utilizing, some people have proposed using like one of those laser level, you know, showing the center and the center line a little bit better, or where they should be setting things up. Also, maybe a laser plane where, just more technology. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
You think that there's a big future in this?
Uh, no, I don't. I think the more you I think you run the risk of getting to a point where you have things so automated and sterilized that it would make the sport boring to watch.
Hmm.
Now the center line laser, um, I, I don't think you see very many matches where they're not centered. I mean, it's not a huge issue. I think you see a lot of people thinking they're not centered because of the camera angle, but they're not actually not centered.
That's a good
Camera
point.
angles change things dramatically with just a few degrees of an angle.
Yeah.
So if they're not looking straight from peg to peg, they can't tell if it's centered. You just can't on a camera. In fact, if you go to Bob Brown Arm Wrestling on YouTube, he has an entire video on camera angle and the way that it changes what your perception is of what a match is. And it was a very, very well done video, and it's 100% right. You know, if the camera's up or down, you can't tell if it's a pin because you're not looking level plane. If you're not looking straight across the table, you can't see center. You think you can, but you can't. Um, Center, right, and left isn't hard either. I've seen some video a gentleman sent me with a laser plane for making the pin call. Um, the video that I saw wasn't very good in the aspect of it didn't show a lot, but it looked like there was a lot of opportunity for a competitor's peg arm to block the laser all of a sudden, or the referee to move and potentially block the laser. And I, from what I saw, wasn't anything I was excited to use, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't work. Um, but you know, again, one of the things that sells is drama. If you sterilize something enough, you're going to lose the drama, and then it's going to become boring to watch. So I think the entire battle of the match, everything from the setup, although we do work at streamlining that a little bit just out of pure time. Um, Things like staying in a referee's grip once you go to a referee's grip for time, some things like that. But the battles of the competitors jockeying for position on the table, the referees, the human component of a referee, dealing with the competitors, and also being fallible. I mean, you see NFL referees make mistakes. I guarantee you guys an NFL referee gets paid way more than I do at EVW. So Dexter can attest to that. Not that I'm not treated very fairly and I'm not complaining, but I mean, goodness, guys, you have humans involved. There's going to be mistakes, and I don't know that I see the point in trying to eliminate the human aspect of our sport.
Fair, fair. Okay, I mean that's a very reasonable question. I mean, there's still many sports that utilize, human refs still today, and not all of them have employed using a whole bunch of technology to eliminate everything. So I can see that. You know, I can definitely see that. Now, what are your thoughts on what do you get dual consent? Go
I
in
love it. I love the idea. The
okay,
concept of it, I think, is fantastic. Um,
okay.
I would want to play with it in some scenarios before I said, "Hey, let's do this." It's got to be set up right on the table so that the consent light button is in a couple of spots, depending on how you hold onto the table, so that as a competitor you can push it. It's got to be very visible for the referee to see, while at the same time not blinding them. Um, Once
Mhm.
both consent lights are on, the referee still got to take control and say, "Don't move." And at that point, if there's movement, is that a false start or is it not? So I mean, there's a lot of what I call ripple effect to making a change like that. One of them is when EVW made the change to a slightly larger elbow pad to
Mhm.
reduce elbow fouls.
Okay.
I think it I think it had a relative effect there. I don't think it was overwhelming, but I think it had an effect. But the ripple effect was now you have a bigger pad. There's way more shoulder across center foul calls than there ever was before because you can move further forward. So We got rid of maybe some fouls, but we added new fouls because of the change. So the ripple effect was there. Now, overall, I still think it was a good change. Um, so the consent light, you got to be in an environment where we've got some high level athletes that we can run some matches and test it and figure out hopefully ahead of time what most of those ripple effects would be, and if that ripple effect is okay, or if it makes a bigger problem than what we're solving. But
Mm-hmm.
the concept of the consent light, I love, because there have been a lot of times in a match, in a setup where my wrist might be just a little bit bowed and my competitor shoulder might just be a little bit out, and we are both just fine. For the love of God, let us arm wrestle. But it's got to be straight, and it's got to be straight, and it's very hard on the arm wrestler to make those micro adjustments while not giving up too much. It's very hard on the referee to manage that. Um, I mean, good grief. Try to straighten the wrists physically of Brian Shaw and Brandon Allen. That's a chore. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous that, in some of these
Right.
aspects. So
Right.
I love the idea. I would love to see East versus West beta test it and to see if it's something that we can implement successfully. The other thing that I am 100% on board with is developing an elbow pad with a small lip around the edge, so that the micro fouls that we ignore, we can truly ignore because we don't see them. And if your elbow comes above that lip, it's a foul. So it takes opinion out of the equation. Anytime that you have a referee have to implore opinion, like that elbow hop was too high, that's a foul, or that one's not too high, so that's not a foul. It leads to potential issues. Um, so the lip on the elbow pad, I think, is a phenomenal change. I think that is a change that would trickle into main draw arm wrestling tournaments and fundamentally make the sport better moving forward for everyone involved. If you watched any of the WAF top eight this year, there were a lot of matches decided by an elbow foul that you could just barely see light under the elbow. That's the rule.
Mm.
That's the call. But that elbow foul did not impact the outcome of the match. There's way too many matches in tournament style arm wrestling that end in fouls because of that. But it has to be that way in tournament format. You add that lip, you eliminate that issue. The lip
Okay.
on the pad is not structurally sound enough to be able to leverage into it and use it as a leverage point. You'll
Right.
still fold right over it. The other thing that it does is as you hit that lip, you're at the edge of the elbow pad and you don't go off the side or the back as often because you feel it.
Mm.
I have arm wrestled on the pad I'm talking about, and it is phenomenal. I believe it would be the best fundamental change to our sport that I've seen in my life in the sport if we could get that implemented.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not the arm wrestling guy in the company, so I'm gonna have to
No, I
defer
know.
that to
Believe me,
Robert. But
I have
I mean,
talked to
like,
Robert about this. Yeah, we've talked a lot. The first thing is getting the pad built and developed in a way that it works, and then bringing it to the competitors, and saying, what do you think? Because I think it's pretty much the stance of East versus West now that we're not making big sweeping changes without bringing the competitors in and getting feedback.
correct.
So we would want to do that. We want to beta test it in some environments to see what we think. Um, but I don't see a scenario where you have a competitor say, no, I don't like that. It's just getting the pad developed and manufactured in a way that it can stand up and not fall apart and things like that. That's going to take some time and some ingenuity, but I think it's a game changer.
Hmm. Okay. Um, the one thing that when I think about making changes to the table is that part of the reason why I wanted the rules, a full rule set, including table dimensions on our website, is so that anybody who aspires to pull at an EVW main stage, they know what they can practice with. They know how to
Yep.
prepare. Okay, oh, I'm going to order a slightly bigger elbow pad so I can get used to being able to, and if we change that, that's easy. The only thing about the dual consent like button is that I'm thinking in the far reaches of the world, you know, everybody has to update that because they need time to practice, because now it's like playing the piano with pedals,
Right.
or playing piano with two hands now instead of just focusing on one hand. Right now they have to coordinate that whole thing with their left thumb if they're pulling right. You see what I'm saying? So that's the
Yep.
one big thing that I have to take into
The
consideration.
other thing there is I don't think you'll ever see the consent light trickle into main draw arm wrestling. I think you'll only ever see the consent light in professional level super match arm wrestling. And honestly, I mean, you look at all the arm wrestling world, there's less than 10% of all the arm wrestlers out there that are ever going to be good enough to be at a level to compete at East versus West. So,
Fair, fair. I mean,
I
like,
mean,
not just East versus West, right? We want to trickle it down so everybody understands the new rule rather than
right.
their whole
Yep.
life
Oh,
they've
for
been training
sure.
to
But
square their
as far as
shoulder and
needing
then,
to,
you know,
yeah, as
just
far
want
as needing to train with the consent light, that just doesn't involve that many competitors. I mean, when you look at the the number of total arm wrestlers across the world versus the number of arm wrestlers that are ever going to compete on an EVW table. Um, and by the time that arm wrestler is getting to the point that they're training for EVW, they'll have access to a consent light.
fair argument, but I'm trying to think how many sports has a different rule sets for the professionals and non-professionals that's so drastically different.
Right, but
Y-
how many sports have a completely different game format between amateur and pro? And ours does. Amateur is main draw arm wrestling, pro is super match.
Right, right. So that's why I'm like, yeah, fair. I mean, so that's why we're in a unique position, and
Yep.
you know, getting now being allowed to start here versus a square shoulder is very, very different. Just the posture of getting ready. But I do like the aspect that it goes so much faster, right? Like it just moves things ahead, and rather than like having this weird kind of angle, just
And now you got to keep in mind too that just because there's a consent light doesn't mean that we're not squaring their shoulders and
oh,
flattening their wrists. No, this is not free for all. The referee is
oh,
still
okay,
doing their job, but at a point, if we're nitpicking on a shoulder that's this far out, and the competitor's got his light on, and the other competitor has his light on, we're close and they're comfortable. We're going to now say the don't move, go.
okay.
But we're not
So
just going to sit back and wait for them to turn a light on. Absolutely not.
okay, okay, okay.
No,
Maybe I
that
misunderstood
would
it.
be chaos. Yeah, that would be chaos. No, the everything would be the same as it is right now, except when we're almost there and the consent light goes on, we're now there.
Okay, so even without this light situation, right, without the button, can both athletes say, like Devin and Alex, they're both yelling, just say go? Does that is that good enough if both athletes are doing it right now?
In my mind, no. I
Because it's not
think the
officialized.
difference, it's not officialized, it's not in the rules at all. I think verbally like that, you have a better opportunity for a mistake. You didn't see both lights, but you thought you heard both people.
Okay,
I,
okay,
I think I think
fair
there's
enough.
more opportunity for error like that.
Fair, fair. I do see that point greatly. Okay, okay. Hmm. Well, I try to make my podcast an hour and a half, but we've gone way over time, and I just don't want to
We're a little
hold
over
you guys
that. Yep.
back. But I mean, we are talking really, really interesting conversations, and obviously a lot of people are talking about, you know, all theory crafting the whole consent like thing. But it's I think having being a hit ref really gives you very different perspective from just an arm wrestler. So I think we can all appreciate that. Well, first and foremost, it's not easy as what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks they are refs by just watching the camera, which is a little bit more than that. But my final question, okay, what makes a ref a master tier? Not master WAF ref, but a good ref in general. What is the key thing that everybody who aspires or is currently a ref, what makes them a great ref?
So I think it's a lot of the same things that make a great arm wrestler. It takes time, it takes practice, take time under tension. But some of the fundamentals that I see a lot of normal refs, average
Mm-hmm.
refs. I don't mean average in a derogatory, but your top referees have a system. We do things the exact same way every time. We've systemized our process to where all of the chaos going on around us doesn't change how we set a match. I set a referee's grip exactly the same every time. I put on a strap exactly the same every time. I square shoulders, wrists, and thumb exactly the same way every time. It never changes. So the more stressful things get, the more you default to your norm, right? You default to your base. If
Right.
you don't have a base and things get stressful, you're no longer consistent. Everything gets out of control. You make mistakes. So whether that's at the highest EVW level or your local event with two guys that are just really, really hard to go and they're hollering at each other and the fans are screaming at you because you're doing a terrible job in their mind, that's stress, that's pressure to a referee. And if you don't have your systems built, you're going to make mistakes that you wouldn't make if you had a system that you followed every time. So, um, and again, like with a referee's grip, I start at the shoulders. I place the webbing. I close the same hand first at the beginning of a referee's grip every time. Now, if there's a foul, you close the other hand first that time, but I always know which hand I'm closing first because I always know where I started. Another really good one is every time you set a match, you go through the count with the competitors. It reminds you, it reminds them. So I've got you and Robert at the table. There's been things going on. We come back to the table. Dexter, you have one foul, one warning. Robert, you have one foul. I know where we're at. You guys know where you're at. Every single time I say that. I don't ever miss that because it's great for the competitor. It prevents me from making a mistake. It prevents me from losing the count.
Right.
So it's those systems. So from a fundamental of how to ref aspect, that's the biggest thing I see missing when I watch other refs ref or when I do a referee training or a certification or a seminar or anything like that. It's a lack of systems. So you have to build your system. And there's systems out there to follow. WAF has a system, USAF has a system, and stuff like that. You're better off to follow an existing protocol on how to set a referee's grip or how to put on a strap than you are to come up with your own. From the aspect of it's more fair to the competitor if all referees set a referee grip the same way. If all referees put a strap on the same way, it's more consistent, it's more fair to the competitor. So
Oh,
before an East versus West event, the referees get together and train. Now, you might say, well, you guys do this, or you train? Of course we train. We work on putting on the strap. We work on setting a referee's grip. We work on managing a match. We talk through things that we've seen or mistakes we've made on how to not make them again. We talk about how to communicate with each other during a match. We run
right.
through all of those things in training before an EVW promotion to make sure that we're all on the same page, we're all doing things the same way, and we're ready to ref at that level. It gets our head right. It's no different than a table warm up if you're going to compete. So there's those things. Past that, you got to get out and ref. You can't be good at it if you don't do it. So go and find promoters in your area. If you want to ref more, I promise if you reach out to promoters and say, hey, I'll come help ref, you don't even have to pay me, go ref. Seek out referees better than you and learn from them. Um, do those things. And then even further, emotionally, you can't take it personal when an arm wrestler tells you to do something unholy to your mom. It's not personal. There's emotion during that match. The number of times that I have had a competitor say terrible, hateful things to me during a match, and then after the tournament come up and say, wow, you did a great job reffing. What? Do you not remember what you just told me? It's their emotion. You can't let their emotion
Right.
impact your emotion.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, you know, I don't read all the comments because I just don't care that much. But I read some of the comments of the matches that I ref at East versus West, and I read the comments from my haters, and usually the comment is something along the lines of he's an arrogant dick, he doesn't care. That I I appear that I don't care because I'm not getting emotionally involved in the match. My demeanor shouldn't change throughout a match if I'm doing my job. I shouldn't get upset with a competitor. It's why I feel so bad about using the word whining to Hermes instead of stop complaining, focus on the match. You know,
Okay.
it's those what seem like little things that start to separate you from the pack as a referee and allow you to do things like go ref at the WAF Worlds, go ref at the Monster Factory, Arm Wars, East versus West, um, whatever, Armed Gods. Although I don't know if they use refs. I know I'm just kidding. I know they do. The other one that Knuckles Up. You know, there's promotions out there. The Canadian one that Ian Carnegie is doing with the different table and stuff. If you want to get to a point to be invited to more high profile events, you've got to go to the low profile events. You've got to go learn. You've got to go prove yourself. You've got to build your systems, build your demeanor, build your emotional tolerance to deal with the wild level of stupidity and emotions that you're going to have to deal with at a table, and not have it get to you. Those are the things. And you're right. I do believe that the perfect referee should be forgotten after a match. I don't believe that the referee should be part of the show. I understand I'm part of the show, I'm part of the promotion, but I shouldn't do anything as a referee that draws attention to me away from the match. So the big strap match or foul, ah, get over it. You're there to do a job. You're there to ref fairly. You should, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong when it comes to the high end shows, but I'm not there to be a part of the entertainment show. I'm there to run a fair match, um, and hopefully get out without the Giants shoving me,
Well,
having any more stuff like that.
I
So
mean, you did, you kind of put Levon in his place. That really made kind of some level of virality in the arm wrestling community. So, but and
yeah,
you were just doing
and
your job, right? You were just doing what you thought
yeah,
was, necessary at that time. So nobody's gonna
yeah,
fault you
and
for that.
for any, I've seen a lot of comments about that too, and a lot of them are really funny and I've chuckled at and
Yeah.
and stuff. But to Levon's credit, I think that night he apologized 4 or 5 different times. He, you don't touch the ref in any sport. You don't do that. Um, he knew he was wrong. We talked about it. Levon and I are good. Um, I don't know that Heracli and I are good, but I don't particularly care. Um, but so it's those inevitably things like that happen, and stuff. But you can't, when Levon did that, I didn't take it personal. I didn't
Right.
take it as a personal attack. It was he was out of line. He was emotionally charged. I told him to go to his corner. I did it with a little bit of force, but at the time, I still think that my reaction was pretty well metered and pretty well warranted. Um, but yeah, I mean, it turned out fine. The match was reviewed. The call was fixed. Um, and and there we go. So
So last question from the fan, and then we'll wrap it up. Is through the Fingers podcast. Luke, do you think changing cadence on Go is good, or is it just the ref playing games?
uh, I don't think it's good. I also don't think what is good is when so in main draw arm wrestling the cadence is ready go. It's not ready go. It's not one word. Ready is actually a question that if a competitor says no, I'm not ready, you're not supposed to say go. Okay? East versus West eliminated ready. We use don't move. Go. There is a longer pause in theory between don't move and go than there is ready go because there's not supposed to be a cadence for East versus West. So in East versus West, it's not don't move, go versus ready, go. It's don't move. And then the go is supposed to be somewhat random, not crazy random, like 30 seconds, wait for him to screw up and move and get a foul type of wait, but it's done that way to try to eliminate the keying off of the cadence. The whole thought process is you eliminate false starts that way. I don't know that it has that effect, but that's the thought process of it. But in general, a good referee cadence, there should be a pause between ready and go, and some variance just from human, the human aspect of it, I think is normal. But if a referee is setting you up and going, okay, guys, ready, go, and then the next time, ready, go, like that's not okay either. That's just looking for problems in the starting
Right.
up. So I'm not sure if that answers the through the fingers podcast question, but I think it does.
I mean, yeah, that kind of answers quite a bit about the whole idea behind ready go versus don't move go. But that's just good. So anyway, we almost way past our allocated time, but I think we just have so much to. I mean, we can sit here for another hour just talking about all the various things that I want to know from you. But I do this podcast mostly so people can get like a better understanding of who's the guy on stage and what does he do, right? What does he like to do other than arm wrestling? But then also trying to lean into arm wrestling and all the questions surrounding your role as a master ref. But I think we all had a great time. Everybody's thanking you on the channel. There'll be a lot more when they wake up, they'll watch this video. So Luke, thank you so much for taking this great 2 hours to share everything about your, well, not everything, a lot about your background, your work, your hobbies. And
Yeah.
we'll see you in Switzerland.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun. I couldn't see any of the chat stuff going on, so when I have time, I'll go through and read the chat. And if there's any questions in there that I can jump in the chat and try and answer for you guys, I'll do my best.
Most of the chat has already been and I try to answer most of them. There were a few like,
Good.
are you a Broncos fan or something? Or like, who is
Oh
the
God, no.
biggest so there you have it. And who's the goat of refs?
Leonard Harkless.
There you have it, fans. And with that, Luke, have a good night. Thank you everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you on Sunday for my personal casual stream.
Perfect. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Dexter.
Thanks.